Frederico. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
So I'm the host for Geek Nation Brazil, and I have some questions here. So let's do it. Let's start.
Awesome.
For the people who haven't watched the series yet, what should they expect from it?
It's about an FBI agent who was investigating a serial killer and disappeared, was presumed dead for 6 years. She was married, she had a husband and a little toddler. And then she essentially comes back 6 years later with very little memories of what happened to her. And she's found that her husband is remarried. Her toddler son has grown up now and doesn't really remember who she is. And she's trying to find out who abducted her and why. We're in our third season now. And there's a new mystery, a new conspiracy. It takes us from Boston all around Europe. We have an international cast. It's thrilling, it's exciting, it's sexy, it's dangerous. All those good things that television should be.
Yeah. So third season, right?
Yes.
How much will it differ from previous seasons?
You know, it's interesting. You don't need to know the previous two seasons in-depthly. It helps you, but you can go online and read about season 1 and season 2 if you want. But there's a new mystery in season 3 that sends all of our characters kind of spiraling outward. And it's an international story. It's a story about the world we live in right now in 2020. There's a big conspiracy at the heart of it, a dangerous criminal network that is exploiting international refugees. That's a spoiler alert, but it's cool. It's exciting. I'm very proud of it. The cast are very proud of it. We know it's rolling out around the world right now. I think in Brazil, maybe you've just had the 5th episode air.
Okay.
So you're halfway through the season, so it's not too late to jump in and join. And the last 5 episodes are mind-blowing. So much crazy stuff happens. It's really exciting for me, as the showrunner, to engage with the fans online on Instagram or on Twitter and interact with them and have questions asked at me and try and give them answers without spoiling things. And people are just really excited and passionate about this season. So I hope everyone in Brazil gets to see it and in Latin America.
That's the cool part of internet, right? They can talk to you and send questions,
yes.
Interact. So the second season of Absentia tied pretty much everything in a very nice way. But in the end, we have a few hints for an upcoming season, right? Some things were left, but what can we expect from this mystery and things in season 3?
In season 3, we join our hero, Emily Byrne, played by the amazing Stana Katic, who many people know from Castle. And we essentially turn her into what we call Jane Wick, instead of John Wick, but Jane Wick. She goes badass. And the father of her son is abducted by a criminal organization. And she doesn't know who exactly is behind it, why they've taken him, but she thinks it has to do with a young female hacker that he was working with. And that sets her off on a course that sends her across the world in search of essentially bringing the father of her child back home to her son. Along the way, she becomes transformed. She lets go of some of the darkness of her past and some of the trauma of her abduction, and channels that into becoming a force of good in the world.
How much of the time you spend researching periods of the production? What is your specific routine where you like most to research for it?
You know what? It's a dangerous rabbit hole to fall down into in researching. I can go for hours researching stuff, sitting in this chair, at this computer, at this desk, researching stuff. We were fortunate this season. We brought in an FBI and a military consultant, a guy who was a former Green Beret with the U.S. Army. One of his things that he does now that he's retired from the military, his name's Jason Amarine, is he helps free abducted hostages around the world. Whether it's a terrorist group hijacks and kidnaps someone, or a criminal group kidnaps someone, he works to get their release and interfaces with the bad guys. So he came into our writer's room and talked to us about that world, the dangers of that world and what it's like. So sometimes, you know, it's great to sit on your computer and researching around the internet and reading stuff. But sometimes it's better just to have someone come into the room and go, well, in Afghanistan, when we rescued a family that had been kidnapped, this is how we did it. And we, the writers, sit there and we write down or type as much as we can. Keep talking, let us write all this stuff down, because again, if you can get it from someone who's done it, it's far more better than me trying to invent it, because they will give me things that happen to them in the real world, issues, problems, complications that I, as a writer and as a storyteller, I just say, that's great. Like, tell me again how you did that and what happened next. And I try and then put that into the show. So a lot of those experiences from real life people have worked their way into the show this season, which I'm really proud of, because it gives the show a level of authenticity and groundedness that makes the audience go, what if this could really happen? And we have something in our episodes this season, a spoiler alert, about this criminal group that's developing kind of a virus. And the head guy of this organization, we see him a couple of times putting hand sanitizer on his hands and wiping his hands. Now, we shot this last year before COVID existed. So now when people watch it, they're like, oh my God, it's like me putting hand sanitizer on my hands every day. I was like, no, we did that 9 months ago. So in some ways it feels like we've predicted the future. But hopefully that makes the show feel relevant and timely for audiences right now, and makes them think about the world that they're living in.
The pandemic has been affecting every single aspect of entertainment. Yeah. What's your point of view about the industry in this dealing with it? This is kind of new, right?
Totally new. Unprecedented, at least in the last 100 years. Hollywood went through this in 1918, 1919 with the Spanish flu. Mm-hmm. But we haven't had anything quite like this since then. And slowly right now, Los Angeles, the film business here, slowly getting back on its feet. A couple of things are getting ready to start filming. When you work on a television show for a movie, it's like a little family that comes together for 6 months, 9 months, whatever it is. You are very much like a family. You eat your meals together, you work long hours together. You probably see that family more than you do your real family and friends. So it is a family. And just, you know, we're all going through this together, but we are going to come out the other side of it better. There will be a vaccine someday. Things will slowly go back to normal. I truly believe that. But in the meantime, we have to keep that family safe and healthy. So I'm excited to see things starting to film again, because there's a whole bunch of great movies that got interrupted that I can't wait to see in 2021. And I want to see them. And same with great television shows, but you have to get back working in a safe way, because you don't want people in your family to get sick or anything like that. So it's going to be slow, but it's starting to happen, and that's exciting, because again, there's great television and great movies being made, and I'm a fan just like everyone else. So like, I want to see the next Mission Impossible. You know, I want to see the next Star Wars. I want to see the Mandalorian come back, like all my favorite things. So as a fan, I'm just excited to hear that these things are slowly getting going again, and they will roll out sometime next year.
Have Rocher Limit been affected by it? Can you tell us about this project a little bit?
Roche Limit is stalled right now. It's based on an award-winning graphic novel by a comic book writer named Michael Morsi, who I've become good friends with. He and I are working on a Star Wars idea together, which is, he and I are huge Star Wars fans. So all our communication is in Star Wars metaphors, if you understand. Like, it's kind of like the moment when Obi-Wan did this, or it's like the moment where Darth Vader said that. So he and I are working on something else, but Roche Limit is stalled right now. Just like everything else in Hollywood is kind of stalled at the moment. A lot of writers are writing things. I think there's going to be a lot of great new material that comes out next year, or when things are allowed to start filming again. So I'm excited about the future. I just want to get through right now and the pandemic, like everyone else does.
Yeah, like
as you know, it's bad in the US, it's bad in Brazil right now. So both the countries are in similar situations. So, you know, thankfully, most of us can stay at home and watch a lot of entertainment now in the world we live in. If this was 20 years ago, before there were streaming platforms like Amazon and Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus and everything else, it would be harder and different. We wouldn't have our favorite shows at our fingertips. So if nothing else, we're fortunate that the world technologically allows us to still be more connected now than we would have been 10, 20 years ago.
what can you tell us about your future projects? There's something hide or?
Well, there's the secret Star Wars project, which is we'll see what happens with that. There's a great genre novelist, a guy named Brandon Sanderson, and I'm developing one of his novella series into a television show based on a character named Stephen Leeds, which is really exciting. And then I got a couple other things that are kind of exciting right now, but I can't say anything about because they're still somewhat secret. But I'm hoping we have more Absentia stories to tell, because the fans seem really excited about season 3 and are really behind the character journeys that we've are doing, and there's more story to tell in that world and with those characters. So I'm hoping people watch the 3rd season of Absentia in Brazil and in Latin America, and I hope we all stay safe and get through this pandemic, and we can have Geek Nation in person somewhere down the road.